Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Ask the Druids. So today I have Avani Patel with me, who is an amazing metaphysical worker. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and all of those fun things?
Sure. Thanks for having me on here. I'm really, really excited about this. My name is Avani Patel. I have a business called Eternal Alchemist, and there I am a hypnotherapist. So I work with people on, past lives, current lives, between lives, any kind of experience that you want to increase your spiritual journey, kind of help with that. And then I also am a coach, and I help people with burnout and kind of really going back to living a life of fulfillment, happiness, joy, all the things that we all want, but work gets in the way.
Yeah, I know burnout something you and I have both experienced. We had a very long conversation about that last week. So it's important to make sure you're aligned in alignment. So
Yeah. And I feel like for both of us, this our spiritual journeys is what really kind of brought us back into, feeling that happiness or like a sense of purpose, and that we're connected to something bigger than our jobs, right? And more, I would say, not more important, but at a different significance. And so that's why I think that doing both of us doing this work after corporate is just so important for other women in corporate to see that there is something after, not after corporate, that you can kind of incorporate your corporate world with your spirituality and make it, a part of your life.
exactly. Yeah, truly. Yeah, finding that alignment and letting it all kind of come together. So cool. Well, if anyone wants to reach out to Albany, her information will be below, contact information, website, all of that. So I would definitely, I've had some sessions and talked with her a lot. So definitely work with her if you feel you need any hypnosis or burnout, if you're experiencing burnout. So very cool.
So
So, what is the topic you've decided on for today? I know we've covered a few, or you've gone back and forth with a few of them, but what is our topic today?
I know, as somebody who's like so naturally curious, it was really tough to hone it in. But because of the work that I do, I really wanted to focus on past lives, and I think it's going to be great, not just for me as a practitioner, but even for your viewers and other people that are curious about this subject and want to learn more. I think that we're going to get some really good information out of this.
I love that one, and I know your curiosity will definitely bring you back for another episode with another. So, well, cool. Well, any questions before we just jump in and let the druids start talking?
Let's do it.
Okay. For each and every soul who is on the planet has walked multiple times before. If you look at it from a 3D standpoint, that you have so many other lifetimes that are done in a very different succession. So you come in here, you do this one, you do that one, you do that one, and each one is a learning and a growth process for what has come and what will be. But what is important to remember is if you say that it is all linear and you have to go backwards and forwards and all of that, that is where your mind gets stuck into what should be instead. Instead, you need to look at it as an opening of the soul is experiencing so many different things in so many different lifetimes, dimensions, planes, where there is no concept of space and time. So all of these humans say, well, in this past life or that past life, or I'm waiting till I reincarnate in my future life, which was a concept that needed to be held because the human brain could not wrap around it. But now what we want is to know and understand that as you can push forward, as you can continue to grow, as you can understand more of the oneness of the universe, that you can understand that there is no space and time and there is no linear, the same way there's no hierarchical concept within the universal realm, within the source energy, there is also no concept of the linear time that each soul and each human expects to have. So as you were looking at this, you go, well, how does this work then? If the past lives are there, but you're saying they're not past lives, they're working in succession at the same time in succinct. How does all of that work? Well, we will tell you more about this right now. Now, we know this may be a topic that may be difficult for some of you to understand and grasp, but this is the basics. And we tell each of you to sit on it, to ferment with it, to really get an idea, to let it absorb within your soul, into your subconscious, as it will continue to unfold for each of you. So now, as this is all coming in, you have to understand that a soul is a being that is there, and you can look at it as an individual being right now. Now, when it decides to do another lifetime, that soul may pick up other energies. It may pick up other things that are also happening. So it may say, I want to get rid of my self worth issues, but instead I want to pick up the ability to heal. It may say that I want to go connect with this other energy and I want to have that coming in and work with them. This is what I want my skill set to be. This is what I want my passion to be. This is what I want all of these other things to be. And that soul then goes off to experience a lifetime. But at the same time, that soul may also say, well, that is a great lifetime now, but I also want to experience something else happening in this dimension or on this earth. So it may say, at the same time, I'm also going to experience this lifetime on the earth, but just in a different position, just in a different way. So instead of being this exact same soul with the skill set that came in, I want to instead pick up these self worth issues this time. I also want to let go of the ability to heal, but I want to bring in more of understanding a different energy and a different archetype. Maybe it is more of a strong, powerful archetype, or it is an archetype of one where you really need to delve down and you really are introverted and it's hard for you to experience other things and experience love. So you shelter yourself. So the same energy that was this soul can also experience something very different almost simultaneously as things are happening, as things are shifting. And they may start at slightly different moments. So for us, we look at it as it could be started just slightly different. But from a human standpoint, you might see it as a different time, a different place. It is the same way people can go into their so called past lives. You can reconnect in with those, but in a way, you are still living it. It is the same way you can sit down somewhere and all of a sudden you have a flash of another lifetime, or you have a thought of, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that the children are in bed. And you may go, wait, I don't have children. Why would I think that? Well, that was your soul. That was part of you who was experiencing another lifetime. So everything is so ingrained and it is also mixed up. And you may say, but it should also be very orderly, very connected. Well, in a way, it is not, because the same way when you sleep, as a human, when you sleep, your soul goat needs to go journey. It might go to and get a tune up. It might go pick up another energy. It might go and do something else as the body is resting and recharging itself. The soul may go and pick up other things. It is the reason why you hear so many people that say you'll feel better after you sleep, because it allows the human body and mind and ego to shut down as the soul can go and pick up the tools, the skills, or the knowledge that it needs to truly help it move forward and to continue to push forward. Does that make sense thus far before we continue on?
It does.
Okay, good. So now, as all of this is happening, as you're experiencing this different lives, as you are saying, well, there are all these things going on that are parts of you, but you say, but all I know is this, what I am right now, the human I am right now. Well, that is truly because that is where the consciousness is sitting, that the consciousnesses are separate for each of these different lifetimes. And so the consciousness, which is part of more of the human experience, and that soul is saying, this is the consciousness I need, those consciousnesses cannot move as freely between the different lifetimes, between those different dimensions of where life is existing. And so that is the difference, that this is the consciousness that you've connected into. Well, you'll say, well, if so many other things can adjust, why can a consciousness not change? And we will tell you, give it time. Right now, the earth is too dense. There's too much connected down deep within what has been happening that, yes, the consciousness can adjust into other consciousnesses or they can flip back and forth. And so that timeline will be coming in, that ability to do that will be, because as the humans grow and expand, as the earth's vibration changes, as the dimensions increase, as the vibrations all adjust and the earth readjusts its axis to be more in alignment with where it needs to go, yes, all of that will come in. And so now you ask the question, well, why, if you say that it is coming in, why isn't it happening simultaneously now? Well, that is because the earth has time and space. So for an earthly plane, it has to happen for these things to be there. That the earth needs to show it as a timeline. But when you are in back in source energy, back in the celestial realm, that is where we don't see it that way. When you see here, you say years, we just see moments because it is not, it is all happening as it should be. We can go back, we can go forward, we can relook at things, we can readjust things because it is all happening in the time of simultaneous energy. And there isn't that need to see a present, a past, and a future because it can all be readjusted back or forward for what is needed at that time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please do.
When you talk about the soul's consciousness being in one particular timeline, does that mean that the soul is fragmented when we're having these simultaneous lifetimes?
So fragmented is not the exact word because fragmented means that there's part of it that's gone that you cannot get back or you need to get back. Instead, look at it as that soul has rebuilt itself, has regenerated into a different way, which is in these different timelines. So the soul that you have right now that has certain qualities, different skills that is picked up, that has learnings and experience it wants in this lifetime, you also need to understand that that same soul or part of it or the essence of it is also experiencing things and other, but has picked up other things. So people say, oh, my soul is this and it's the exact same soul every time. Well, that is not exactly the case because if it was the exact same soul, it would learn the exact same things, would have the exact same experiences. And that is not the case. That it is the core of it, the essence of it, that then goes and is recreated to create all these other lifetimes. But that doesn't mean that it is any different, but it is still learning and absorbing from each of those to be able to evolve as a spiritual soul and energy. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
What other questions do you have?
So does each soul bring gifts and talents through its own conscious decision on each lifetime, or does it carry over through various lifetimes what it's learned and its growth?
It is a mixture of both. So, in some cases, the soul will bring things back with it, energies, karmas, experiences that it needs to clear from another lifetime to experience there. But it is because it's already been, or it's all happening at the same time, that that energy may just show up, that it's something that needs to be cleared. It might be karma that shows up that needs to be readjusted, that needs to be realigned. They also can pick up other things that it would like to do. So that energy may say, I am ready for this to happen. I am ready for to take this on again. Because as the growth of a being excels, so there's a path that each one lives, and you may excel beyond that. You may excel not towards that. But when all those things are happening, other things from all of those other energies will all come in to help the entire collective move forward in another way. It is the same way you here said, when you heal now, you heal in the past and you heal in the future. Well, you
Mhm.
say, but you can't heal in the past, that's done and over with. But it is not. It is happening at the same point to allow for that to shift, to allow for that other part of that soul or energy of the soul to also experience that so that it can move forward in a healthier way and a better way. And you say, well, why didn't that energy clear it if it came from that? Or integrate it or realign it. Well, maybe this was the consciousness that needed to do it, that agreed, that said, yes, I can. So that allowed for that to move forward because each one may pick up something different. One lifetime may have more of a difficult lifetime where it feels very beaten down, where it can't move forward, where it feels that it needs to experience these things. But the other being will say, or that part of the soul will say, or the lifetime will say, we will take on that energy then to help clear it. So you find that you have this energy of being beaten down and not being important and not having that self love and that self worth. And that's consciousness goes, I will work on that. So it works through it for this other lifetime that is happening so that they can both move forward and they can both have the learnings and the enlightenment that they both look for. Does that make sense to you?
So when you heal in one lifetime, you're healing in all dimensions, timelines, uh, incarnations.
Exactly. You're healing in all of them. Now, that is not to say that another lifetime or carnation may not pick that back up again and say, we know we moved through that and we healed it, but I want to experience it in a different way. So they could still go and say, I want to go pick up self worth again or self love or, narcissism or whatever it is they want to pick up. They may go pick that up again and say, okay, I'm going to bring that back with me. And that is up to that entire energy of the soul, all of those lifetimes that are there, and what they want to bring with them in each of those. Because if you remember correctly, that each lifetime can be very different. There can be very dark lifetimes, there can be very positive lifetimes, there can be ones where you have children, where you don't, where you are persecuted, where you pick up all these things. And part of that is what that energy wanted to experience within that lifetime, what that soul wanted to have with them. So that is part of what this is coming together, is an allowance for these things to be said, for these things to be connected. And so that is how that they are coming in and they're reconnecting with all that has been and all that will be. For when it picks up these things, it experiencing it in a different way. And so you may say, well, why would I ever want to come in and experience a very dark lifetime or one where I was persecuted? Well, if you don't understand persecution, if you don't understand what it's like to be the person who's persecuted against, then how can you understand the lifetime where you were the person doing the persecution? You have to understand both sides. It is all cyclical, it is about the cycle. You can't understand one way without the other. So it is about shifting that and understanding that so that you, as a soul, as a being, can truly move forward to understand how life is and how oneness is, or when you hurt you, you hurt me. And in lifetimes, when you are play one or both sides of the coin, so to speak, or of the cycle, you can better understand how the oneness, when I hurt you, you hurt me, and vice versa. So that allows for that cycle to be complete and the learning and the experience to also to be complete. Did that answer your question for you?
Yes. But it brought up another question.
Okay.
So is that basically what karma is then? Is that cycle of you hurt me, I hurt you, and we experience both sides in order to understand both sides?
Yes, that is a very good way to describe it from a human standpoint. Is yes, karma is not understanding that the cycle has not been complete. So the cycle can be forgiveness. You might need to forgive. You might need to understand where they're coming from. And it's not saying that if you hurt me, so say you come and you hit me in the arm, that I am not going to go back and hit you in the arm to make up for that, to clear the karma. No, that is the wrong answer to this question for those of you that are thinking about it that way. But instead, it's you hit me in the arm and I say, I understand why you've done that. And I myself have also hit someone before, or I've given them the same energy. So say for instance that I didn't treat them very well. So they felt that same energy that I was receiving from you when you hit me in the arm. And so you say, okay, well, we need to look at this from a different perspective. And you can say, I understand why this is, and I forgive you as I forgive myself for doing this to another person. And so that is clearing that cycle up. And so that is an allowing for that energy to be lifted, and you can feel the oneness. There is no coincidence that oneness starts with a cycle. And it allows for that connection of all that has been there. So that then when you complete that, it moves on. The same way, if you are constantly giving, but you do not allow for the receiving, that you need to allow for the receiving of things to come in. So when you give, you receive that as a completion of the cycle. But if you only give and do not allow others to receive or put shame on them for trying to give to you, then you will not receive it. That is not a completion of the cycle. And so that was where you will feel very off balance and not like you are in true alignment because you do not feel worthy to receive. And that is what is something that needed to be learned. And when you can begin to receive with gratitude and not feel that shame or that unworthiness, that is when it will all align out and the cycle will truly be complete. And you will feel the oneness with that cycle.
What happens if one doesn't learn these cycles in a lifetime that they've set out to learn. The lessons, the karmas, like anything that they have planned on learning, but through the lifetime, they've, because we all have free will, we veered off certain paths that we planned on. Explain what happens to the soul if we veer off of that.
So if the soul does not come in to learn or experience what it chose to, what it wrote in its contract that it wanted to do within that particular lifetime, then it will have to go back and say, okay, is this something I really need to learn and experience? And if it decided it wanted to, that it will continue that way. So it will just put it into another lifetime, or it will pick it up in another lifetime to try to continue to learn it, to experience it. And that is okay, where we know and understand that Earth is a very dense place and there is free will. And that people say life is hard, and we do not want life to be hard, but we understand from a human consciousness standpoint that some souls can bite off more than they can chew than what the human existence can provide to them. So it's allowing for that to come in, for that to flow, and for you to have an understanding that as all of these things are shifting in, that yes, you can work on it in another lifetime, and that this consciousness may die before you've done it, and you will just pick it up when you go in again or you rework through it. So it is about understanding that there's even more vastness and information there than what the human mind can wrap around right now, but that they will work on it again. They may decide not to, though. They may close the door on it and walk away, and they may allow for the knowingness to come in, and that they will truly pick it up when the time is right. There is a saying that it says that a soul sometimes can never get beyond what it is. Well, if a soul on earth is having difficulty learning something or experience something that it truly wants to, that it has said, no, I want to manage this, that soul may go to another dimension, another planet, another universal galaxy where it is easier than Earth to pick up on that and then jump back in again. But know and understand that Earth is one of the last places that a soul can venture to because of the density, because of what it is like, and because of the free will ability, that there are things that you need to experience here that you cannot experience in other dimensions, planes, or universes. And so it is about understanding that as all of those things are coming in, that there is a constant understanding that you will be back at some point. And you might look at it differently, you might look at it another way, but it still allows for that understanding, consciousness, and connection of what has been and what will be to reconnect with you so that you can ascend to learn, explore, and experience what is set out for you on this path in time. Did that answer your question for you?
Yes.
Okay, good. What else do you have for us today?
So you mentioned the density of the earth as, a soul, when they come. Is there a preparation that a soul needs to do as they come into earth and knowing the heaviness that it could potentially encounter?
Well, know and understand that a soul does not first show up as just a human for the first time. It has been on this density before, perhaps in another way. Perhaps it popped in as a tree for a little bit, or perhaps it came in as a bug, or it showed up as a guy that really tried to experience the energy before. So it is not like a soul shows up that has never had any contact with the earthly realm before, or it has at least watched it, or has it kind of picked up on it. So there is that understanding that it is a denser planet. And there are those souls that are coming in right now that are allowing for the lightness of the planet, that are bringing in other vibrations, other energies, and are truly working to lighten it up. So those souls that come in that have not been here in a human form before may come to find that yes, it can be more difficult. But when they are looking at what they want to experience within this lifetime and what they want to learn and experience, typically they pick lighter things that they want to experience. They do not decide to bite off so much or such a heavy load. And when they're in that decision making process, they'll work with those that are going to be guides or the masters that are there, or the record keepers, to say, well, what is it that I should do? They are given some direction on what is. Now, it is ultimately their decision, and they may say, no, I want to do all of this. And even though those that are assisting them may say, that seems like a lot, but if that is what you want to do, you can, we will allow for it. And so as they come in, they're aligning themselves with parents that have been here before, most likely, or energies that are more connected to them that can support them. That they are trying, we always allow for those souls to come in with as much support as possible. Now, if they take it or what they do with it is totally and completely up to them, but that we at least want them to be set off with on a very good path. And there might be the cases where they have more touch points with their guides, with other beings, with those beings and energies that can assist them on their path to keep them upright and moving forward. And so that just allows for more support there than a soul or an energy that has been on this planet many, many times. So, say they have done a millennia of different lifetimes, that they may come in and say, well, they don't need as much support. They kind of know the process, they know the way it is. So maybe they only have 3 or 4 guides that are set with them from birth to death, and only a few, 3 or 4 or 5 touch points, where a brand new energy or soul may come in with 6 or 7 guides and may have a touch point, as you would think about it, every week. That is just making sure they're where they need to be. And no one understand that what is set up before a lifetime is even started can even be adjusted and changed during the lifetime, so that a soul may say, I'm not doing as much as I wanted to. I need to dissolve some of these contracts, or I need to pick up more because I'm actually moving at a faster pace. So there's so many other things that can go into it, but nothing, so to speak, is set in stone. That things can be adjusted and changed. And the point of this is for the soul to have as much growth and experience as possible that it wants to have based on the lifetime that it has chosen. And so that is an allowance for that to come through. That is an allowance for them to have that. And they are the ones that can decide what needs to be done, when, and where. And so you always say, well, I feel like my guides or the universe is pushing me in one direction or another. And that is the case, that they will say, this will assist you on your journey. This will help you expand and become more of the being that you wanted to come and have those experiences. And so they are there to assist you, but that does not take away the free will. That doesn't say, no, you cannot have this, but instead allows for that push forward to have an understanding and a connection of what they truly need and how that all comes together to connect as one energy and being. Did that answer your question for you?
Yes.
What
And
else?
you just mentioned the touch points of certain souls, how some souls have more touch points than others. Is that the concept of an old soul versus a new soul, or is that a human concept that we've created?
Well, there is the concept of old soul versus new soul, as we've already mentioned before. There's soul that will come in that hasn't really experienced it in a human form before, or only a very slight human form. Say they came in, as a baby, but only lived a short amount of time just to feel the density, and they said, okay, it is time for me to go. And so, yes, there are those old souls that come in as her, as that we work with her. She is a very old soul that is very connected to Earth, but if she wasn't, she wouldn't be able to do this work. And so there are those that come in, but the touch points are different. So you can say that old souls don't have as much touch points as new souls do. And yes, that is the case many times. But there could also be an older soul who needs more support and would like more to come in. So it is not exactly black and white as we made it out to be. So we apologize for that. We understand our differences in how we speak. But now to understand that from a rule that yes, new souls have more than old, but there are times where those old souls do need more touch points, or do need more touch points in a certain part of their life, because they are learning and expanding, and because it will help them to get where they need to go. There is always support, there is always help, there is always guidance that can be given to a consciousness or a human. But the thing is, with free will, when you ask, we can give you more of an exact answer than when you don't ask, because we can give you small clues or small directions. But it is truly when you need that push, then when you ask for it, that we can lay it out. Now, many times you say, well, I didn't get it, or I didn't get it. You will always get an answer or a direction or a sign. But many of you humans just don't pay attention. So we don't know what to do. I mean, do we have to send a marching band down the street to have you at least look at us or look at what the sign is? We don't know. But that is the difference, is that as long as you are open, as long as you are seeing it for what it is, we are giving you directions, signs, and clues everywhere. You just have to be open to it, to see it, and to truly let it move you forward on this path. That answer it for you.
Beautifully.
What else do you have for us today?
I think that's it for now.
Mm. Well, with that, we thank you for your time and we wish you a lovely. All right. Any questions on what they said? That was a lot. You gave a ton of info.
It was a lot, and that's why I was like, I could have probably gone for another 30 minutes, and I was like, "I'm not doing this to Katie, we'll have to have a part 2."
Funny. They're so earthly that yeah, they can connect in. It took them a while to get there. I remember when I first started channeling, I'd be like that does not make sense. But the more I work with them, the more they are. But that brings up a good point that there are so many people that I'll work with or talk to them like, well, I just don't see the signs. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't see the signs? Like I'll be with them. I'm like, well, here's a sign, like, and just pointing those things out. And so the more awareness we can have around those, the better it is. I mean, I take everything for a sign now, even, walking through the grocery store, and all of a sudden my eye is drawn to a flower or a certain fruit. And I'm like, oh, okay, that is a sign. Maybe I need that nutrient. Or maybe the flowers are saying, be happy, just smile. But everything there is coming through. Well, any other questions you have, Avani, about what they spoke of or what I can clarify for you before we go around?
It was really amazing for my first time. I really appreciated their humor and their ability to really make things more as humanly as possible.
Yeah, they definitely do that. Well, I really appreciate you being on, and I think this topic was such a cool topic. We'll definitely have to do a part 2. So if you're watching and or listening and have any questions, please put them in the comments or shoot a message over to me through my site, and we will definitely get it on the list for next time. And again, if you want to reach out to Avani, all of her information is down below. She's an amazing hypnotist and also does a lot with women that are going through burnout, which I know many of us are. And I think after understanding more of these lifetimes, like some of them are just, we're trying to get so much done, we get stuck in burnout, especially with free will and expectations. Um,
Yeah, and you brought up a good thing, right? Like, especially as, women that are high achieving women, right? We want to accomplish so much in this lifetime, and it's like almost like a checklist, and it was so clear when they said that, if we don't finish in this lifetime, it's okay. We'll pick another lifetime to do it. And it reminds us all just to take it easy and not be so hard on ourselves.
yeah, yeah, and truly honor our path and where we're going and what we need. So, well, thank you so much again. I look forward to seeing you guys all again and look for the next episode, and we will see you again soon. All right. Thank you.
Bye.